Hey youth leader, what are your plans for your summer missions trip? As we're all aware, Corona still seems to be with us and the word pivoting still keeps coming into our repertoire of student ministry. So I'm going to ask again, what are your plans for your summer missions trip? Maybe you've got some things lined up and planned out. Maybe, like many of us, we still are wondering what are some of the options available. If that's you, I'm so glad you're with us because that is this week's topic on NGM Features. We have Roberto Reyes with us for the first of 3 segments. We're taking the month of February, focusing on student missions. And Roberto and I are having this conversation on what are some of the options available. I think you're going to enjoy this. Well, greetings everyone and welcome to this week's NGM Features. I have Roberto Reyes back with me here in our home. And I'm excited to have Robbie share this week in our NGM Features. We're going to really drill into how do we look at some of the options that are available when we think about doing missions trips for this coming summer. Now, I'm not sure if you know this or not, but there's this thing called the coronavirus that's been kind of affecting a lot of us recently, and I'm not making fun of it at all. I'm just saying that the reality is last summer, a lot of us couldn't go on our mission trips like we typically do. Now we're thinking it's 2021. Can we get back to what we used to do or not? A lot of us are still trying to, what are we going to do with that? Yep. So what Rob's going to share with us is basically from his perspective there in Mexico City, what can, he's going to provide us some ideas of what can we do to provide some different options. If we can't go visit your typical site internationally or even across state lines, let's not focus on what we cannot do. Let's focus on what we can do. And by the way, if you haven't yet seen our previous video, watch Roberto's in my interview. I interviewed him about 15 minutes, shared his backstory, his own salvation, calling into ministry, and who he is and what he does. So really encourage you to watch that first, then jump into this. Rob, take it away, buddy.
All right. Well, I know it's a difficult time for some of us. We're not able to take this trip. And usually we get all these student ministry group excited about the summer,
about going someplace,
because we're going somewhere. We're having our mission trip, or we're having our camp and things like that. Mm-hmm. Well, I think we still have the same energy level to do it, but sometimes God gives us the opportunity, right, and remind us to say, "You are the church." So I think right there where you are located right now, you can take your mission trip right around your community, where if your church is right in the middle, just go around it. And then you're gonna find a lot of things to do. So this is when you have to become creative about the ways how you're gonna do ministry. Yeah. But if you see in the long run, check out your logistics, finances, and all that that has to do with a mission trip is gonna be very, very, doable. Yeah. So yeah. I think it's something important that you need to consider this time, and probably look into the savings and all that for the next summer if we got rid of Corona, right? Yeah. But for now, let's do this where we can just go across the street, and some of your kids probably is gonna be the longest trip that they ever take. Just go across the street to talk to somebody. But you can do all these activities right in your home church.
Okay. And so focus on Jerusalem.
Yes. And also, I mean, I'm not saying like, hey, just be, wild and crazy on your mission trip. Obviously, if we still have this pandemic going on, just use the same rules that we're following lately. Your mask, 6 feet distance and all that. But be intentional around your community, because a lot of things that are happening with this pandemic, like the social life of everybody has changed. So we don't know around our community who has seen people, So it's an opportunity that we have. And you have all this time to train your kids in how to share their faith.
Yes.
Also how to share their testimony. And all those things is going to be missional. So the importance and the main goal of a mission trip is to be missional. Yeah. To impact somebody's life through what Jesus has done in your life.
In other words, we don't do missions as much as we are to be missional.
Exactly. We got to be missional and intentional, right?
Intentional.
Another thing that we can do, or is possible to do, is hire a parachurch ministry that can do something with you right in your home church. If they don't have to travel cross lines, cross states because of the virus.
Right.
Or, I know it sounds a little bit different and probably it's a little bit weird, but that's why we have this technology nowadays. We can do it through that.
Yeah.
Also, if you have a missions outreach in your church, maybe your mission outreach director can plan something with you along to do something together.
Right.
Or if you have a missionary from your home church somewhere else, that can be something that, maybe that missionary is going to take you to their country.
So using technology, there's different things we can do to partner with even our church's existing missionaries while we're still in the States, in our still location, and doing some things across the street. A couple of things that came to my mind was, in the middle of all this, we realize suicide rates are going ridiculously high.
Yes.
It's horrible to see the depression. There's so many needs now in our own communities that maybe the Lord is allowing us to recalibrate and just to really almost like fall in love again with our own cities.
Yes.
So hey, I used the word partner. That's actually going to be our next conversation next week. Is Roberto and I are going to kind of unpack a little bit through our conversation. Is how can we partner with someone like him? Partner with a missionary. Now, when you hear the word partner, you usually think, "Hey, Martha, get the checkbook out." It's like, here we go. They're going to be hooking us or asking for our money. Not necessarily. Now, Philippians 4, Paul talks about financial giving to his own sense of mission work in developing new churches, and he thanks the people for that financial gift. That's not what we're talking about. How can we partner with, how can we truly come alongside and serve this missionary and his family? For example, those of you from your own church, not only while you're there, but even in between the trips. In other words, what could your youth ministries do to partner with, let's say, Robbie and Erica's 4 kids? They're 9, 7, and they're twins at 7 and 5.
6.
Oh, it's 6?
6.
One just changed since I met him last month. So thing is, how can we help serve their families? Does that make sense? Look, we're going to take this focus episode, and I got the link below for you. We're going to go ahead, you hit the link, it takes you right to our YouTube channel, and we're going to take this conversation on this idea of options, and the focus video is going to take this interview, but drill deeper and go into the actual content of what are some actionable and practical steps. I'll be sharing some things that I have, as well as some other youth pastors that have reached out to me to tell me their ideas of what are some options. So, Roberto, thanks for coming to my home, and you guys have a great week. We'll see you next week.
All right, goodbye.